Hello, Land Talkers subscribers. Today, I am honored to have Senator Chuck Grassley, our gracious senator here in Iowa, that uh, is very being very gracious with his time and does a great job for us Iowans representing us in Washington D.C. Welcome to Land Talker TV, Senator Grassley.
Glad to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Shoot, you bet. Well, Senator Grassley, I'm a land appraiser here in Iowa, and I keep track of all the land auctions in Iowa, and I religiously follow them every day if there's auctions. And one thing that I do with Land Talker TV is talk to people that indirectly or directly affects the land values here in Iowa and the Midwest. And as you know, things that happen in Washington, D.C. has a direct effect on land values. And as a matter of fact, all these tariff news that we're getting right now, there's a lot of bad news out there right now, but it doesn't seem to be affecting the land market so much. As a matter of fact, on Thursday, there was a farm sold in Mitchell County for $22,000 an acre, 113 acres, 95 CSR2. So that's a very strong sale. And so, if you don't mind, could you kind of talk about the trades, tariffs, and new markets that's going on right now, and maybe specifically talk about the new trade agreement with the United Kingdom?
Well, let's look at new markets. I think that's tied up with an issue that would be in the next 5-year farm bill. Hopefully, we get a new 5-year farm bill this year. 2 years late, but better late than never. And the new markets would be associated with hopefully an increase in the amount of money on promoting our exports. And beyond an increase in the appropriations, I don't think there's much more you can say on that for markets for exports. And we do export about 1/3 of our agricultural production. So then let's go back to tariffs. For 50 years, I was a member of a majority of free traders in the Congress of the United States. Now the political wind is turned more protectionist, and I'm in a minority. But I also know that President Trump campaigned on it, and to increase tariffs, and he's in the process of doing that. I always thought it was better to negotiate. He thinks it's better to level the playing field, force people to the table. Seems like he's having pretty good luck with 110 countries wanting to negotiate and serious negotiation going on with 18 countries, of which China and right now England and the rest of Europe kind of stands out. In regard to England, I think getting more cars in there and more of our beef in there is quite an accomplishment. That isn't nailed down totally yet, but those are two things that have been emphasized. Then I think that we always have to remember that when there's retaliation against tariffs that the United States puts on, it usually hurts agriculture more. And then the president's answer to that is, well, we'll appropriate more money out of the federal treasury. Well, that gets back to the fact that farmers want to get their money from the marketplace, not from the federal treasury. So that's what's led me to the EPA and talking to Director Zeldin about that very point. If we could overcome the mistakes that the Biden administration putting just 3.1 billion gallons of mandated use of biodiesel, get that up to about 5 or 5.5 billion gallons. It would help soybean prices. Might not help corn prices, but at least soybean prices would be helped if there is retaliation against soybeans, and it looks like China wants to retaliate that way and get their soybeans from Brazil.
Yeah, right. No, good stuff. Well, the land markets, seems to be kind of just not too worried about what's, the different things going on with trade and tariffs. But that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. And I do know when I talk to realtors, one of the concerns they have right now is they've been talking to people about selling their farms, and they're kind of holding off right now because they're kind of nervous about what's going on in Washington. So hopefully that there'll be some reassurance there. As far as budget reconciliation, will the Senate go along with the House bill and add any new farm bill provisions to it?
Uh, if the House puts in Farm Bill provisions, and there's reason to think that they will, I think that uh, it won't go along with it just exactly the way the House does it, but we're including, we want to do something with reference pricing. We want to do something to cut down on the cost of food stamps and do something on marketing and things and maybe agriculture research as just a couple, three or four things that we might go along with, but not necessarily just the way the House is doing it.
Okay, great, good stuff. Um, will you support any in the budget reconciliations, any tax provisions that will help farmers and ranchers and landowners?
Sure. We're going to increase the 20% above the line deduction to 23%. I think that's what the House does. Now, we haven't made a decision in the Senate to do that, but that would be a big advantage. And then the extent to which we allow a full expensing of depreciation is very helpful. And for people that have pass-through income would be benefited from what we're doing in the United States Senate. And then I think another area that every farmer would be concerned about would be keeping the estate tax
Right.
where it is. I think when it comes to the tax bill, we're going to have the 20% above the line deduction increased to 23%, hopefully made permanent tax legislation. Keep the estate tax at least where it is, and the House is going to enhance it just a little bit. I'd be in favor of that enhancement. And then those things are the things that I think affect the family farmer the most. Oh, there's one other, would be to have further expensing of depreciation.
Yeah. No, that's great. That is nice to hear about the estate tax. As you know, as somebody that praises a lot of farmland here in Iowa, those farm values can get pretty high fast. So that is great to hear. Senator, as far as would you support emergency economic payments to farmers similar to the last year's $10 billion ECAP? Would you support something like that, or would you elaborate on that,
The
Senator?
answer is yes, but I hope we don't have to do that. I hope we can get uh, market prices up. I hope we get reference pricing in the Farm Bill up, at least to reflect increased cost of production and things of that nature. Uh, and I think those are necessary forerunners. And if we do an adequate job of the safety net, an adequate job of getting markets, not hurting farmers with these trade issues that are going on in the Congress of the United States, hopefully we don't need that emergency aid. But and then we also want to improve the crop insurance program along the lines of what Senator Hoven, and I'm a co-sponsor of his bill, what he's suggesting in the new 5-year farm bill.
Sure, absolutely. Um, Well, that I have heard, those reference prices are probably a little bit too low, and they probably need to be raised to be more closer to break even points for those commodities. So that's good to hear. As far as anything else that you want to talk about, Senator Grassley, that you feel is important, I'll let you just take off and go. Thank you for allowing me time, and thank you for doing your town hall meetings. I know it hasn't been very, well, at least I watched the one in Hampton. I was pretty disappointed in how people acted there, but it seemed like they didn't want to listen to what you had to say.
Yeah. Well, if other people talk, I don't have to talk and I can listen, but it's not the most interesting thing to listen to when you hear nothing but complaints about President Trump. Uh, I think the one, I'd close with this, something I always want to remind people in agriculture. 2% of us produce the food for the other 98%.
Hmm.
And the 2% have to speak very, very loud, way beyond what you'd normally feel comfortable talking about. The importance of agriculture, the importance of the institution of the family farm, the importance of making sure that we keep the family farm strong, and things of that nature. We just don't have enough people speaking up for agriculture. I lost the only other grain farmer that was in the United States Senate, a Democrat from Montana. So that leaves me alone talking about grain and what we call commodities.
Hmm.
We do have two or three cattle producers in the United States Senate that can speak up for that end of the agriculture, but there's just not a big, loud voice in Washington, D.C. for agriculture, and what there is here needs the full support of the other 2% of the people that are in agriculture. So speak up loud.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. We got to fight to do our business for sure, Senator Grassley. Um, one more question, Senator Grassley. What do you have planned for Memorial Day?
Well, we always go to the graves and put flowers on them, as you know, or sometimes the weekend before. That's traditionally what we do. Sometimes, although this year I won't be doing it, but sometimes I speak at American Legion or AMVET ceremonies, usually held at some cemetery to honor the people that have passed on, the people that have defended our freedom and liberties.
Sure.
This year I won't be doing that.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. Well, as I said, it's raining here in Iowa, so hopefully we'll have that's enough rain to get those corn and soybeans to have a good stand. And I've heard there's a little bit of replant up there in Franklin County, up there in your area, but just because the ground got crusted, and so they're having to get the rotary hose out and break up the crust. But it doesn't sound like it's too big a problem. There's just a few people like that.
Well, I hope that they get it done and can overcome the problem.
Yep, yep. Well, Senator Grassley, I better sign off here, and thank you so much for being on Land Talker TV.
Glad to be with you. Have me anytime you want.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
much.